Hi, I'm Jim Stickley on security, and recently I'm seeing an uptick in online banking fraud, and most of the people who are falling victim are making simple mistakes. And so I thought I'd make this video really quick just so that I can give some tips on what you can do to make sure that you don't fall victim to these types of attacks. Okay, first thing, if your online banking solution allows you to change your login name, you should absolutely do that. Most of the time, people set their login name to something like their first and last name, or they'll use their email address. The problem is that criminals can figure this stuff out, obviously, very, very easily. On the other hand, if you use something kind of random, or maybe it's your first name and then a few characters, or your first and last name with a couple extra characters, that'll be enough to make it so it's unique, so someone couldn't just guess your login name by default. Next, this is one of those ones that everybody talks about, but nobody ever seems to follow, and that's make sure that you don't use the same password at more than one location. So if you have 3 online sites, you should have a different password for each one. And I realize that's a pain in the neck. Most people end up using one password that they lock in their head, and they use it at lots and lots of sites. The problem isn't that your password isn't strong. The problem is simply that if a criminal is able to hack one of those sites and gain their access to their database, they now have your password from that site. They can then try that password at all these other sites. And remember, most of the time, your login is your name or your email address, which they are already going to have from that first site that they hacked. So they can basically use that same login and password there at other sites, and now they're in your accounts. So make sure that you use a unique password. Worst case scenario, you can use the password managers. You can get an app for your phone. I know Norton has a good one. There's a lot of them out there that allow you to basically store all of your passwords in one location in a secure way. Now, one of the most important things that you can do for your account is to enable the strong authentication, or sometimes they'll call it two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication. Basically what it is when you log into your account, you'll type your login name and you type your password. Then you can have this additional layer of security where it will send you an email or a text message, and it'll have a code. So now you get that email, you look at it, and you then have to type that code into the online login process to complete your login. And by doing this, you stop people. So if somebody's got your login and password, they still can't get into your account because they would need to have this additional code that was emailed to you. Now, the problem with this, the risk there is, let's say a computer has been hacked. Let's say it's your computer and a criminal has gotten into it. Well, in that scenario, they're probably going to have access to your email as well, which means now the code gets sent to your email, the criminal has it, and they're able to complete the login. To get around this, you generally want to go with text messaging. So whenever you log in, set up your authentication so that it only can authenticate you through a text message. And then that way, the criminal at this point, for them to have access to that would mean that they've stolen your phone, hacked into your phone, have both your login and your password for your online banking. I mean, there's a lot of steps there. Odds are they're not going to be there. So enable the text message version for authentication. And then that way you know that whenever somebody logs in, that authentication is going to send a text to you. You have to type in that code before you can complete the process. Oh, just on a side note, your email, if you use an online email solution, most of them also support multi-factor or strong authentication, and you can do the same thing with that. So now you can have it when you log into email, it also needs to send you a text message. That's great for also trying to keep criminals out of your email because criminals love hacking email accounts. So just on a side note, if you're using one of these online email solutions, go in there, enable the strong authentication, and have it so it sends you the code so you log into that as well. All right, last but not least, enable all of the alerts that you can enable in your online banking solution. Most solutions will allow you to do things like get a notice whenever you change your password or whenever you change your home address or any other account settings. You can actually get messages sent to you saying, hey, things are changing on your account. Same thing when your balance gets low or when there's a transfer from money from your account, or even things like when you change and add a new payee. In some of the accounts, they'll notify you about those as well. The more alerts you have enabled, the more things you know that are going on with your account. So if you get one of these notices and you didn't do it, you can contact your financial institution immediately and get it taken care of. All right, well, that's all I got.